Know it best. I'm sure that's what he practiced all week. They're not about to change now. They've been too successful to do that.
Fairbanks features a 1,000-yard running back in sophomore J.R. McCoy and a quarterback that's thrown for over 1,000 yards. They like to do a lot of things on offense.
Yeah, it seems that they're a little more diversified. They do throw the ball about 1 out of every 3 times, it looks like. So Bridgeport will have to play both a run and a pass to be successful.
It'll be a battle of 2 longtime friends, Rick Goodrich, the head coach of Bridgeport, and Ted Wierzbicki, the head coach of Fairbanks. Both grew up in the Bridgeport area and are now coaching against each other in their team's first ever playoff appearances here at Newark's Whitefield. We'll be back with the opening kickoff and the starting lineups after this on News Channel 7 Sports. Newark, Ohio, tonight's Ohio Division 6 playoff game between the 9-1 Bridgeport Bulldogs and unbeaten Milford Center Fairbanks at 10-0. The Bulldogs and the Panthers. The first ever playoff appearance from both of these schools. The Dogs come in wearing their all black, the blue numerals and black helmets. Milford Center, red bottoms, white tops, as you can see. The Bridgeport Bulldogs feature the Ohio Valley's leading rusher in Brian Widmore with 1,707 yards, 31 touchdowns, an unbelievable number when you think about it. Milford Fairbanks has sophomore tailback J.R. McCoy, who has rushed for over 1,500 yards and almost 300 carries. Now, Terry Depew is on the broadcast tonight. Terry, you saw Bridgeport last week, and you know their running attack. We talked to Coach Ted Wierzbicki, the head coach at Fairbanks, about their rushing attack, and they like to put it in the air and on the ground. They have Mr. McCoy, who's the 1,000-yard rusher.
He must be an outstanding sophomore. He's not real big at 155 pounds, but he does get almost 30 carries a game. Looks like he has almost half of their offense. So they're going to be going to him as often as Bridgeport will be going to Brian Widmer, I would imagine. And it looks, Mike, like everybody in Bridgeport is here tonight. What a great crowd.
Yeah, nice showing from the Bridgeport faithful. Even saw some other folks from around the area, St. Clairsville and surrounding areas. We are set for action as Fairbanks will kick it off. Back deep for the Bulldogs, the usual return man, number 9, the senior Brian Kesterson, and Mr. Brian Widmore, who we talked about earlier, number 4. The ball is teed up at the 40-yard line. Milford Center and Bridgeport underway. Bad kick off to the left side. It'll go out of bounds. Bridgeport will get good field position to start the game.
I couldn't tell whether he did that on purpose or to kick away from those guys or whether it was just an accident. But either way, Bridgeport's going to get excellent position for the first offensive possession.
And senior starting quarterback Chad Roskovich, number 7. It's an all-senior dominated backfield except for one youngster. Brian Widmore wears 4. Big 255-pound Brian Boders, number 5. When they run the wishbone set, Ron Baker, the junior halfback, comes in number 40. 88, Jerry Moore, and 87, Buddy Ellerick, alternate at tight end. And Brian Kesterson's the split end. You'll also see number 2, Nick Widmore. 1st and 10, Bridgeport, 35-yard line. The opening play from scrimmage from the Bridgeport Bulldogs in postseason play. And no doubt it's Brian Widmore, struggling for a couple of yards, brought down by the interior of the Panthers defense. Up front for Bridgeport, not very big, but they got some guys that can pull out there, and you know that, Coach. Jason Miles, the junior underclassman left tackle, number 75. Kevin Buga, a little fire plug, number 51 at one guard. Steve Mullen, number 74, snaps the football. Jim Fisher, the junior, 77 right guard, where they like to run. And 55, Mike Meatball in Paquetti, is the main man they like to run behind in the wishbone set, which is in there right now on 2nd down and 6. Roskovich hands to Boder. Off right tackle. First down, Bridgeport, near midfield. You know that Widmore can get outside and run the football, but Boder has some deceiving speed also at 255.
Interesting to see that Bridgeport took their first 2 plays to the offensive right side, right at the biggest part of the defensive line for the Panthers. Defensive tackle on that side is a sophomore Gregory at 305, and they ran right at him both plays.
First down, ball at midfield for the Bulldogs with the wishbone set and the double tights. Baker, 45-40. He has one man to beat, makes a couple of moves, and he will go to the end zone. Flag down to the backfield as Baker goes into the end zone. I see it.
What a big hole on the left side of that offensive line.
And the Bridgeport faithful doesn't like it in front of us. Ron Baker. We've been calling him the Union local savior as he scored the winning touchdown against UL, and he scores an apparent touchdown here, which is going to be brought back. But wow, we see Bridgeport's dominance on offense very quickly here. Sort of like how your Cadets got started last week in the Bridgeport game, but now Bridgeport comes out. They use Boder and Whitmore, and we see Baker, who usually doesn't carry the ball that much, but got a big hole there.
3 carries, 3 different ball carriers. The defense was up in a really tight front that time. They broke a seam, were able to go right through with no secondary people.
So Bridgeport is pushed back to their 45. Chad Roskovich with the eye in the backfield. Nick Whitmore and Kesterson, the wideouts. And they go to Whitmore, gets a block from Boder, spins his way near midfield, and he's still not down until finally he's brought down. But Boder buried another would-be block there, and that's what he does a lot.
A crunching block. He's outstanding. As good as he is carrying the ball, he's a better blocker. He hits, drives people over backwards.
So Bridgeport moving the football in the opening possession. Had a big run called back for a touchdown, but they've had that happen before. Usually they go right to the air when that happens. We've seen that a couple of times, but not tonight. They're going to keep the football on the ground, as we'll probably see from both teams, with over 1,500-yard rushers. Whitmore, right tackle, and he cannot get outside. Good tackle that time by Josh Hackett, number 8, who came up from his defensive cornerback position.
When Bridgeport gets in the I formation, they have a lot more diversity in their offense than when they're in their wishbone attack. They can attack inside or outside out of that I formation.
The defensive ends for the Panthers are Jim Hodges and Jared Whiteside. Travis Gregory and Chris Powers are the tackles, 73 and 55. The big guy, Gregory, at 305 is number 73. The backers are the good ones. Chris Yodev, David Reinhardt, and Rob Thompson, the middle backers. Also, Roush at another linebacker position. Secondary will set for you after this play on 3rd and 8. They pitch to Whitmore. Gets a nice block from Miles and does the rest on his own. He'll be short of the first down by a yard or 2, but that play looked like it was stopped in the backfield, Terry, but he got some out of nothing.
Excellent speed. Brian's got excellent feet. He makes people miss, especially people who go low after him. He can step over him and get more yardage.
And here they go. They're going for it. This crowd
4th and less than a yard.
Didn't drive an hour and a half to see Bridgeport pump the football, so the Dogs are going to be going for it on their first possession.
The defense is in a 6-man front again.
No surprise, the wishbone setting the double tights. Just a matter of who they hand the ball to. Whitmore, money man, first down, Bulldogs. Inside the 40, he got that first down easily. Right, and they run over that right side again, Terry.
Right at the bulk of that defensive line, yes. It looks like they're attacking right at their strength.
Defensive backs for the Fairbank Panthers, Stoney Gibson, number 9, Jonathan Purdy, number 16, and Josh Hackett, one of the split outs on offense, who also plays defensive safety. Hackett wears number 8, who made a tackle a while ago on Whitmore. 1st and 10, Bridgeport, moving the football, opening possession at the 39-yard line of the Fairbanks Panthers. Baker again. This time he gets 3 or 4. Looks like the same play that went for a touchdown moments ago, which was called back, and that time the Fairbanks was there.
The inside linebacker, Rob Thompson, number 45, really stepped up well, took on the block, and was right there to meet him square in the hole.
Thompson, number 45, 5'11", about 185, and all muscle. He's the leading tackler on the Panthers football team. 45, watch for him. He'll be all over the football field. Keep an eye on 52, David Reinhardt, too, 6'2", 215. Wishbone setting the double tights again as Roskovich hands to Boder. And the big tank will not go down. Finally brought down. He struggles close to a first down, and I'm surprised that play wasn't blown dead, but it was a good job of the officials to let that play keep going. His progress wasn't stopped, and the big man,
just pure determination, kept those feet moving all the way. I think at one point he had 5 Panthers hanging on to him, and he just kept moving.
Boy, and they give him the first down on that play. Thought he'd be short of the first down, but they gave the big man
just
the first down.
Over the marker.
Line of scrimmage to 29, Bridgeport's opening possession.
1 back set this time.
And it's Boder. And they give it to the big senior. He's rumbling. Inside the 25, and he's finally pushed out of bounds. Or not out of bounds, but down to the turf. This is Bridgeport football, Terry, and the longer they're out there, the longer that clock runs. And Bridgeport has had some quick games this season. That's because they run the football.
This is their bread and butter. They just wear the defense down. They're not looking for 40, 50 yards. They're looking for 4 or 5 yards. That's what they've been getting in this drive, able to make up the big penalty to call the touchdown back, and now they're moving in close to the goal line.
Even when they were down by 2 touchdowns in your game, they still ran the football instead of throwing the football like most teams would try to get back into games. Bridgeport in total control so far, opening possession. 2nd and 4. Whitmore spins, and he breaks into the secondary. Look at number 4 go. Near the 10-yard line, inside the 10 to about the 9, and what a great spin by the senior tailback.
What a great move at the line of scrimmage. Everything looks like it was stopped up. The defense had played it very well, but Brian made a nice 360-degree move and picked up another first down.
20-yard pickup for Whitmore, and Bridgeport's 1st and goal, 8-yard line, and boy, they're looking impressive on this opening drive.
Haven't even thought about putting the ball in the air yet, Mike, and I don't think we're going to see it yet.
Not a chance on this drive, at least. 1st and goal at the 8. 6:20 to go in Bridgeport's opening quarter. Baker sails to about the 6. And boy, they're using Baker a lot more in the first quarter than you usually see. Baker, mainly the 3rd back, the junior, and he's already had 3 or 4 carries so far in the first quarter. A little uncharacteristic, but gives Fairbanks another dimension to look at.
I think they're going to make the defense make sure that they're playing all 3 of those backs and not concentrating on just 1 or 2 of them.
Great scheme by the 2 head coaches, both good buddies from Lansing. Grew up together. 2nd and goal from the 5. Whitmore to the 1. 31 regular season touchdowns and 1,700 yards. It'll be 3rd and goal inside the 1, and now Bridgeport has you right where they want you. They can go with a lot of guys. You'll probably see the double tight end set here.
That's Bridgeport's play. I bet they've run it 200 times this year, and it looks like we're probably going to see it one more time here.
Big Brian Boder, the fullback, will lead for Whitmore most of the time. We'll see what they do here. Crowd wants to see him punching in. Whitmore, short. Boy, it looked like he ran off of Boder. Boder was going straight. Whitmore cut it out and didn't use the big guy.
Right behind,
4th and goal.
Right behind Fisher and Piketty to open up holes for him. Just a little short of the goal line.
A lot of teams like to run right. Of course, your team likes to run that right side behind big Mr. Filkowski. No different with Bridgeport. They have their big studs on the right side, and they like to go right.
Sure do.
4th and goal. Bridgeport's 2nd 4th down of the opening possession. Roskovich hands to Baker. He did not get in.
No sign.
Wow. They go back to Baker instead of Whitmore and Boder, and the Dogs are denied.
I think that's where that big defensive line made a difference. The defensive line for the Panthers are 224 pounds compared to the offensive line of 190 pounds for Bridgeport. And I think it was that bulk that made a difference in the last 2 plays.
This does not give Fairbanks good field position. They'll come out with their quarterback. David Grant, number 18, just a junior. And J.R. McCoy, number 7, 5 yards deep in the backfield. Their 1,500-yard rusher. And I think the quarterback snuck it out of there. Bridgeport's calling for a safety. Grant, the ball carrier.
They can't afford to take a chance down that deep in their end zone. Both backs lined up 3 yards deep in their end zone, so the quarterback sneak just to try and get another yard to get some operating distance.
David Grant has thrown for over 1,000 yards. He's the junior quarterback, number 18. McCoy wears number 7 at tailback. Derek Nickel, number 34, is the fullback. The receivers are good ones. They both caught over 30 balls each this year. 8 is Josh Hackett, and Stoney Gibson is 9. Jim Hodges is the tight end, number 17, who also has very capable hands. 2nd and 10. And the quarterback, Grant, sneaks it out of there. And there's Boder, number 5, making the stop defensively, and he's the middle linebacker in the Bridgeport defense, and he does it all.
The offensive line for Fairbank is also a little bit bigger than the defensive line for Bridgeport, but the kids in Bridgeport are extremely quick, and they're playing aggressive attacking defense with a lot of stunning linebackers.
We see Buddy Ellerick, 87, limping to the Bridgeport sideline. He's on the bench. Check on him, see what happened to him. 3rd and 6 for Fairbanks, and they go to McCoy this time, who's hit at the line of scrimmage and tackled near the goal line. Safety! Bridgeport gets on the board first. It's a safety on McCoy as he was smothered in the backfield. It looked like Bridgeport brought everybody, Terry.
They did.
The corners were in there. Number 2, Nick Whitmore, and 13, Wayne McCracken was also on that stop, so that's defensive backfield making that stop.
Both inside linebackers stepped up on a stunt, stopped him at the line of scrimmage. He tried to bounce off and go outside, and Bridgeport was there to take him down in the end zone.
The Dogs score sort of unconventional, but they'll take it, and it's their first ever playoff points in Bridgeport High School football history. 2 of them. A 2-run home run, but no.
What a great way, though, to start the defensive series. Have them down on the 1-yard line and end up with a safety.
You can't ask for any better start for Bridgeport. They would love to have gotten into the end zone, but their offense showed they can move the football, and their defense showed Fairbanks that they can stop them, so you have to be happy as a head coach.
You bet. You gotta be happy that you get off to a good start like that. First ever playoff game. Take some of the jitters out of the stomachs of the young men playing. Get on with your game plan.
And now Bridgeport will get the ball, and it looks like good field position again. Whitmore and Kesterson are back deep again as Hodges will punt the football away. He had the choice whether to kick it or punt it. Hodges will punt it from his 20. Wow, it's short, and Bridgeport has great field position. It's Jerry Moore who reluctantly takes the football and gets into Fairbanks territory at about the 50-yard line. So Bridgeport starts at midfield, and you gotta love that.
Starting on your own end of the field, can't beat it.
Here we
Good
go
opportunity
again.
for Bridgeport.
Here it goes, the Dogs again. They bring that wishbone set back out and try to run it down their throat again. 3 minutes to go, very fast first quarter we thought it was going to be. Driving through some rain coming up, Terry, we thought, you know, that wasn't going to affect much of the passing game except for Fairbanks because, you know, Bridgeport doesn't put it up that much. Only 30-something attempts for Roskovich on the season.
36 of them, I think, for the whole year.
Here's Roskovich handing to Baker again. Behind Boder, and he gets strung out.
That was the same play that they scored on before and was called back.
Boy, and you see Coach Goodrich going to Baker a ton in this first quarter. I've never seen Baker with this many carries in a Bridgeport first quarter all season.
You know, Mike, Fairbanks list themselves as a 4-4 team, but they're basically playing a 6-man front. Looks like they are convinced that Bridgeport's going to run the ball consistently as well. They've got 8 people on the line of scrimmage trying to stop them.
Baker only has 40 attempts all year, and it's about 4 a game, and he already has 4 or 5 here today. Roskovich hands to Whitmore, second man through, it's into the secondary. Josh Hackett, number 8, made the stop, but you see Whitmore twisting and turning for another Bridgeport first down.
That's not good for Fairbanks when your safety and secondary are making all the tackles, and I think the leading tackler so far is the safety, number 8.
Brian Whitmore, the Ohio Valley's leading rusher, coming into the ball game with over 1,700 yards. And he's showing why tonight. Fairbanks knew that they had to stop the running attack. They have not yet, even with about 8 or 9 guys in the box. 2-back set with Kesterson, bottom of the screen. Boder into the secondary. Nearly runs through the tackler. Stoney Gibson, number 9, who wanted nothing to do with Mr. Boder.
It looked like he was schooled very well to tackle him down around the ankles. He could not have gotten any lower. That was an excellent tackle by Gibson. He was in the open field all by himself on Boder. Made a touchdown-saving tackle.
Terry, Gibson is 5'10", 160. Boder at 255. He wanted nothing to do with him there. And he's luckily got a shoestring.
I can't blame him for that.
Boder hurdles him there. He might be in the end zone. First and 10, 19-yard line. Whitmore, off left tackle. Turns the corner and pulls his way into the end zone. Touchdown Bulldogs, 19 yards. Bridgeport scores his first ever postseason touchdown. 19 yards from Brian Whitmore, his 32nd touchdown of the year.
Excellent speed. That play is designed to go off tackle left. It was clogged up. He broke it outside, had enough speed to outrun the corner, the contained man, and took it down the sideline for the touchdown. What great
Again,
speed.
Josh Hackett, number 8, the corner, was up to him to make the tackle, and the linebackers and linemen aren't getting it done for Fairbanks, and we mentioned the linebackers were their strength. And Bridgeport fakes the 2. Kesterson dives in. but I think there's a flag. Did I see a flag get thrown? No.
I don't think so, no. I think
it was some confetti in front of us. I couldn't tell.
So, yes.
So Brian Kesterson, the holder, fakes it, and the track star number 9 dives into the end zone for the 2, and Bridgeport's doing everything right.
They had a run-pass option there on the 2-point conversion. Looked like he could have thrown it if he wanted to. He had Boner in the end zone open, but chose to take the safe way and take it in the end zone.
10-0 Bridgeport, still the first quarter, minute 17 to go, and wow, the Bulldogs have come out and are laying a whooping on Fairbanks early. They're doing everything. Believe it or not, that safety, I think, actually helped Bridgeport because it gave Fairbanks terrible field position, and it forced them to run some plays they really didn't want to run with some quarterback draws, and it really helped Bridgeport.
It allowed the defense for Bridgeport just to tee it up because they knew exactly what was coming. They knew that Fairbanks was not going to take it back and throw it down deep in that end zone. Made it a great start.
Bridgeport comes out smoking, 10-0.
I do see Brian Kesterson now being a 10-2 down here in the sideline. Looks like he's up there and ready to go. Maybe just a little cramp.
Boy, he made a nice dive into the end zone, and if you see Brian taking that helmet off, a lot of the Bridgeport Bulldogs had their heads shaved prior to the game. Some braved and didn't. I think only about 5 of them did, but
looks like the majority of them are that way.
You can see Coach Goodrich even got the sides shaved down. Luckily, he doesn't have much on top to begin with, and he got the sides shaved down. And I can say that to Rick because he's a good friend. The kick comes down to 44. Zach Eichhoff, 20-25, and sidesteps the tackle, gets up to the 32-yard line, but looks like Eichhoff didn't want anything to do with that ball, but got a good run out of it.
Sure did.
Down to a minute 10 to go, first quarter. Chaz Melko made the stop, and Fairbanks actually has some breathing room on its second possession of the ball game.
I'm anxious to see now if Fairbanks is going to open it up a little bit and use the more wide open offense that got him this far.
I in the backfield. Derek Nickel, the fullback, and McCoy, the sophomore tailback. That's Stoney Gibson in motion. And they run the fullback, Nickel, across the 40 to the 42. Fairbanks offensive line, a couple of big guys up there. 77, Frank Long is the left tackle. Ryan Cottrell, 67, a two-way guard. Jared Whiteside, Dave Reinhardt, 52, the man to watch on Fairbanks offensive line. Mike Black is the right tackle, number 64.
That was just a little fullback trap up the middle. They were able to get between the 2 defensive downs of Bridgeport for a good 9-yard gain.
A rather quick first quarter is winding down. We're under 30 to go. Grant's going to throw the football. He has a man open as he's hit, as he throws. Picked off. Wayne McCracken makes the pick at the 46. Bridgeport has the football again. Wow, there was a man streaking down the field. It was Gibson behind the secondary, but credit the pressure of Bridgeport to cause that interception.
That's what caused it. The defensive end came in, got right in the face of the quarterback, hit him just as he threw the ball so that he couldn't get any distance on it. A big break for the Bridgeport Bulldogs here late in the first quarter.
Wayne McCracken has come up big all year for the Bulldog defense. Just a sophomore. 50 tackles from his cornerback position. He has 5 fumble recoveries. And 3 interceptions make that 4. The sophomore comes up big, and Bridgeport will run the first quarter clock out. Brian Boder dancing outside, and Bridgeport's controlling the line of scrimmage. Look at Boder rumble. Those running backs are picking their way wherever they want to go.
That offensive line's doing an outstanding job. Brian was able to run parallel to the line of scrimmage for 5-6 yards before he found a hole to cut it up.
And that'll do it for the first quarter here in Newark. The Bulldogs have controlled the first 12 minutes of the ball game. Bridgeport 10, Milford Center Fairbanks nothing. We'll come back to Newark after this timeout on News Channel 7.
At Belmont Savings Bank, we're the people you can count on. We can help you buy that new home, a new car, make home improvements, consolidate your bills, or take a vacation. Whatever your need, you can count on the friendly folks at Belmont Savings Bank in Bel Air, St. Clairsville, Barnesville, and Powhatan.
Belmont Savings Bank, we can share the dream.
Some people are afraid of change. But choosing the health plan is a change for the better. It can save you a lot more than nickels and dimes. Low premiums, no deductibles, and no doctor or hospital bills. For a change that makes sense, choose the health plan.
Welcome back to Newark. Mike Anthony and Lindsley head man Terry Depew. Bridgeport controlled the first 12 minutes, and by the looks of things, they might control the second 12 minutes. Eye in the backfield, 2nd and 3, ball at the 39. And they're going to throw the football. Roskovich has Kesterson, and he comes back and makes a great catch. Down the sidelines, Brian Kesterson, touchdown Bridgeport.
What a great individual effort that was at Brian. He was covered very well. The pass was a little bit underthrown. He stopped, came back for it, and then broke 2 tackles to get in the end zone.
What a great play by Kesterson, my main man. Every time I'm around, this guy scores a touchdown.
The offensive line did an excellent job blocking up front. There was no pressure. Chad had all the time to throw the ball. Threw a nice strike right to Brian.
39-yard strike, and Bridgeport scores again. Kesterson with an incredible athletic move after the catch. He made a couple of them, and he got into the end zone.
That's the story of Roskovich's passing season. He hasn't completed many, he hasn't thrown many, but over 50% of his completions went for touchdowns.
Marco Pizzoni adds the point after. 17-0 Bridgeport in the second quarter. Wow. Fairbanks being shocked. 10-0 under Ted Wierzbicki in his first season. Chad Roskovich is 16 for 36, make that 17 for 37, and his 9th touchdown.
And I think more than half of those have gone to Kesterson. Probably on that exact same play. They run the ball inside, they keep everybody up on the defensive side, they fake it in there and throw it deep. Kesterson has excellent speed and is able to run by most defensive backs.
Terry, he has 17 completions, 9 are touchdowns. It's almost bewildering.
What an unbelievable percentage that is for touchdown completions.
Bridgeport dominates the first quarter by rushing the football. Brian Whitmore has 63 yards. Brian Boder, 47. Ron Baker with his 4 rushes. That's his game high. And 6 yards.
And he had a 40-yard touchdown run called back.
So Bridgeport comes out in their first ever postseason appearance and scores first 3 times they have the football.
Coach Goodrich had a good game plan going in. He knew the defense he was going to face.
Derek Doty kicks it down.
And
it's taken by Josh Hackett, and Hackett falls down at the 17. Let's see if he's all right. So Fairbanks will start inside their 20. They haven't had the best field position as of yet, but I don't think Bridgeport cares.
They haven't had enough. They haven't had the ball enough on offense to get any rhythm into their offense. It's really tough to tell what their offensive game plan is going to be because they haven't had the opportunity to use it yet.
Ted Wierzbicki in his first year at Fairbanks, 10-0, and he's coached against one of his good buddies who he grew up with, Rick Goodrich of Bridgeport. He has some good stories we'll pass along to you about those childhoods coming up here when we ever get a chance. As Grant pitches back to McCoy, turned in by Boder, and then McCoy gets about 6 yards. That's their bread and butter, and if Fairbanks is going to get back in this football game, they got to go to Mr. McCoy. It's still early.
It is. He is their bread and butter. He looks like he has good moves inside. Looks like he reads the defense well and runs the daylight.
You're used to seeing a back with good moves, Terry, and we're seeing two good ones tonight. We've seen Whitmore rush the football for nearly 65 yards already, but we really haven't seen McCoy show his strength yet. We really haven't had good field position yet. But
Right, I think before the night's over, we'll see him run the ball a few more times and see what he has.
he averages about 30 carries a game, believe that or not. Grant hands off the football to the fullback. It's Derek Nickel, and he has a first down. So Fairbanks finally gets off the schneid and moves the sticks.
That's the quick trap inside again with the fullback between the two downs. What they ran earlier for 7 or 8 yards, that's been their best play so far.
We see Buddy Ellerick, 87, running off the field for Bridgeport. So what appeared to be a little injury earlier is nothing. Thanks, guys. Regular is fine.
Diet would be great.
Great hospitality up here from the Newark guys. Newark coaches. Good. Hoop season's coming up. Here's McCoy to the 34-yard line.
Good tackle by Kevin Bucci that time. Two
There you go,
linebackers
Coach.
stunned at that time, and they were able to run right by him.
See, Coach, when you're coaching, you can't drink pop like we're doing right now.
This is great. You're right. I've never had this during a game. Talking to Ted Wiersbecky before the game, I reminded him that not every season they can go 10-0. He ought to enjoy this one. I hope it doesn't spoil him.
He was back in the Ohio Valley watching Bridgeport play earlier, just visiting his parents, and he saw them blow out Toronto when Brian Whitmore had 5 touchdowns. Grant the throw. Nearly picked off by Whitmore. So Grant, who comes in with over 1,000 yards passing, doesn't look very good early on. Of course, Bridgeport's giving him pressure.
That was excellent one-on-one coverage by Brian Whitmore. Bridgeport plays mostly man-to-man defense in the secondary, and I know that Brian ends up with a main receiver, I think, most times.
Boy, 3rd and 7. Fairbanks into a conversion play already. They don't want to give it back to Bridgeport this early. If they happen to not be successful on this play.
They need to get a couple more first downs and keep that defense off the field for a while if they're going to have a chance here.
Josh Hackett in motion. And Grant's going to throw. Batted down by Whitmore. That's Brian, the younger of the two brothers. He was looking for Gibson, and I think if Gibson catches that football, he's short of the first down anyway. So Bridgeport will get the football again, Terry.
I think so. They had a little play action in the backfield, hoping to hold the linebackers, but again, Brian Whitmore in man-to-man coverage had the guy covered very well.
Ball wasn't thrown that sharply. And the Panthers will punt the football.
Jim Hodges is back deep, punt formation.
And there's a flag on the field. It'll be an illegal substitution. I thought that was the referee saying that. That was the PA announcer saying that.
Right.
It sounded like as soon as the official was
Exactly.
giving
It
it.
sounded like it came from the official. I thought he was Mike.
9:46 to go. Bridgeport leads 17-0.
Bridgeport sending 7 guys after this to try and block it.
Hodges, the left footer, kicks it away from Kesterson, and Brian will let it go to about the 33-yard line. Good roll after a somewhat good punt. So Bridgeport gets the football again. They hold Fairbanks. They go 3 and out again.
I think Fairbanks has 1 first down so far in the game, if memory serves me correctly. They're going to have to keep their defense off the field a little bit to slow down this Bridgeport offense.
The Bridgeport juggernaut back onto the football field. Here they come again.
Their offense has looked extremely sharp so far this.
Derek
This
Doty,
game.
one tight end. They use Ellerick, Doty, and Moore. Slot right, that's Baker, number 40. They pitch to Whitmore. He has Boder in front.
Nice
Pancake block. And Whitmore dances, and he's still not down. Great block by Boder. He buried his defender.
Boder come out and blocked the corner. He blocked him so hard that he knocked the next defender down as well.
The domino effect from Mr. Boder, and we've seen him do that a lot. That's an Orlando Pace special, I call it. And he's
has
had
it.
plenty of those.
Brian has that ability just to explode on contact.
255 and over 400-pound bench press for the big senior. 9 minutes to go. Bridgeport with a 17-0 lead, and they want more. Boder runs into 52. That is Reinhardt, stud on stud.
Both inside linebackers that time read the play, stepped right up and simultaneously met him for very little gain this time, but perhaps enough for the first down.
Talking to Coach Wierzbicki, he mentions a lot about David Reinhardt, 52. Big kid who a lot of colleges are after. 6'2", 215, and muscle.
Looks like he's very well put together. Reads well, been in on a lot of tackles so far.
Boder got the first down, so Bridgeport moving the sticks again. They put the ball up once, and it's accounted for a touchdown. Line of scrimmage, the 44. Second man is Widmore. Running room into the secondary. First down, Bridgeport. About a 12-yard gain for Widmore.
That play, Mike, was set up. Jim Fisher from his right guard spot pulled left, kicked out to the end, opened up a big hole for Bryan.
Boy, are they controlling the line of scrimmage or what?
They're doing exactly what they want to do when they want to do it so far.
We mentioned, and the Bridgeport coaches wanted to thank you for supplying that playoff atmosphere at Perkins Field last week.
Last week's game was unbelievable. There was, I don't know how many people there, but probably as many as there are here tonight. And you're right, it was a playoff atmosphere.
Packed house here at Whitefield in Newark. Boder straight ahead, runs over number 8 Hackett.
That time it was Widmer blocking for Boder.
Boy, isn't that nice when you can use as an interchangeable parts? Usually it's Boder leading the way as a battering ram, and then you can use Widmore also.
Most any team would be very happy to have either one of those gentlemen, but for a team to have two of them, have them both on the same team, it's easy to see how they're so successful running the football.
Listen to you talking, a lot of guys like that number 41.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people would like to have Eddie Drummond on their team. I'd like to keep him with ours.
2nd and 1. They pitch to Widmore. He has enough for the first down. 45, Thompson runs him down. Bridgeport is just controlling the line of scrimmage and moving the football.
Again, I think
another ho-hum game.
Jerry Moore that time, again, had a good block on his defensive end that time to enable him to turn it up.
35, Derek Doty comes back into the game.
It's definitely been a group effort so far.
Wow.
I know Widmer's gotten a lot of yardage, but that offensive line is blocking very well. Both backs blocking for each other.
Maybe Coach Wierzbicki knew something when he said, hey, Coach Goodrich, when you get up 50-0, take it easy on me, all right? We thought that was the old Lou Holtz special, but it might come true.
Well, it's certainly off to a great start for Bridgeport. They couldn't ask for anything more in their first ever playoff game. Coach Goodrich has his team primed and ready to go.
Wow. Sarge Cordery, Matt Johnson, Coach Goodrich all out there, and boy, Bridgeport has to have a great feeling. You come into your first game, the Butterflies were there. They had the pep rally at school before they left, and you know the kids knew it was going to be a big game. 10-0 Fairbanks. The only other unbeaten at Bridgeport has faced was the Lindsley Cadets last week.
What a tremendous game it was last week, too. Two good high school football teams playing hard. After the game, both teams had all the respect in the world for each other, all what high school athletics was about.
And Chad Roskevich is about 100% for this game after he was banged up in the Lindsley game after some hard hits. He is in there tonight. 17-0. Bridgeport with the lead and the football. Boder, a lot of room. Gets a block from Kesterson to the big tank, rumbles down to the 2-yard line. Woohoo! 29 yards.
Big hole off of right tackle with Brian Widmer blocking for him. Rob Thompson was able to run him down from his inside linebacker spot.
Wow, is the Bridgeport offensive line doing a number or what? And then you have the lead back helping out. It's almost not fair.
And they're doing a great job mixing it up too. You know, they're running left, they're running right, they toss it and run outside. Both backs are getting their carries. Fairbanks does not know what to expect.
Now the eye set. Split receiver to the bottom of the screen. It's Nick Widmore. 2. Boder is cut at the line and down. Probably a loss of 1. The big man, 73, Travis Gregory, the 6'2", 305-pounder, got Boder. And if there's one guy that might be able to match up with Boder, maybe Reinhardt and maybe the big guy, the 300-pounder.
Right. Gregory was able to get under his offensive blocker and just be able to make a pow and took Boder's legs out from underneath him. when
Not many have tackled Boder up high this season.
wisely so.
2nd and goal, 3-yard line. Baker loses a yard. There's the defensive middle linebacker, 54.
The defense for Fairbanks seems to have a lot more success down in this short yardage distance than they do out in the middle of the field.
Reinhardt was credited with the tackle, 52. 54 was not around the play. Wow, the Dogs down there, 3rd and goal, and the crowd would love to see him get in it. Brian Whitmore on the sidelines with a shoe change. That's why they got Boder and Baker at tailback. Now, option right, Roskovich. Touchdown, Bulldogs. Roscoe goes in, and it's the 3rd different Bulldog to crack the end zone. Touchdown.
And the option is something that Bridgeport added to their offense about mid-season, and Roskovich runs it extremely well. He makes great decisions, knows when to pitch, when to turn it up. That time he had Baker on the pitch, but there was a man out there, so he just turned it up, able to get into the end zone.
Marco Pizzoni, the exchange student from Italy, comes on to add the point after. Out of the hold of Kesterson and Pizzoni. Arrivederci, it's all good through there. 24-0.
Everything is going right. Everything is going right for Bridgeport, just the way they would like it to go.
Wow, you couldn't ask for a better opening half for the Bridgeport Bulldogs. Knowing this coaching staff and how excited they were to be in this first game and to jump out to a 24-0 commanding lead and have done no wrong so far.
What an impressive start. You'd think a team playing their first state playoff game ever might have made 1 or 2 mistakes somewhere along the way, but Bridgeport has not done that. They played a near perfect game so far in this first half.
5:55 to go in the half. It's 24-0 Bridgeport.
Fairbanks has to be saying, where do these guys come from? Who are these guys?
Oh. Ted Wierzbicki was at your game last week, the Bridgeport Lindsley game, Coach, and he was very impressed, not only with your team, but obviously with the Bridgeport team, and he saw a couple of big-time backs going at it last week. And
yeah, talking to him before the game, I think he knew that he was playing a quality football team, and he said he had to play a perfect game. They had to do everything just right, and they've made a mistake or two so far, and they have their work cut out for them trying to get back in this one.
Derek Doty on to kick off again. It comes down to Eichhoff again, and he gets another nice return. About 15, 20 yards. To about the 34, it'll be first down.
This is probably about as good a starting field position as Fairbanks has had so far.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they can do anything with it.
So Bridgeport keeps on keeping on, and I guess the haircuts don't mean anything.
Well,
Same old Bridgeport.
They certainly didn't hurt, that's for sure.
Maybe they should have done that last week.
I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah. 34-yard line. McCoy is hitting the backfield. Fisher, 77, was there, and he almost took the handoff.
He was in the backfield quicker than the quarterback was. A stunt from the inside linebacker position.
Pretty soon the Bulldogs are going to start paying rent in that backfield.
They should. They spend more time back there, I think, than Fairbanks has so far. Some great charges up front.
Boy, J.R. McCoy has been stoned tonight, hasn't done anything so far. The Bulldogs haven't let him.
Said absolutely no room at all to maneuver. Looks like they're in a passing formation here.
We'll see if David Grant can move the football through the air if they intend to. Here come the Dogs blitzing. Grant completes it out of the backfield. But Bridgeport covers it nicely. It'll be a 3rd and about 5. Pass complete to the tight end, Jim Hodges, who has already caught 17 balls this season. They like that tight end position. Not many throw to the tight end in high school football, but they do.
He's had 17 catches, I think, several touchdowns for the year. He must go to him in some critical situations because it was there. Good coverage, though, by the Bridgeport Bulldogs.
We're ticking down to the 4:30 mark in the half. 24-zip Bridgeport. 3rd down, the Dogs are coming again. Pressure on Grant, and he throws it too high for Hodges. Boy, Bridgeport does not care defensively while they are bringing the kitchen sink.
They line 5 people up in a defensive front, send 2 linebackers and say, you can't throw on us because we're going to get to you before you throw. Again, I think that was the same play, only to this side that time, just over the fingertips of the tight end, Jim Hodges.
So Fairbanks will punt the football again and settle for just 1 first down in the whole entire first half. And who knows if they'll get the football back the way Bridgeport runs it with 4.5.
I know this is probably not a familiar situation to Fairbanks, but it is a very familiar situation to Bridgeport. Most of their games this year have been probably this score or worse at halftime.
Bridgeport has had leads of 30, 40, 42, nothing at half through the season. They just steamrolled through the first 5 games. No one even scored on Bridgeport until halfway through the season when Barnesville had a 6-pointer on them. Who was a defensive coordinator anyway?
Give that guy a raise. That's it. Four straight shutouts to start, another shutout along the way. I think the first team defense has given up maybe 6 touchdowns all year for Bridgeport. And they're not going to give up many tonight the way it looks.
Brian Kesterson is back to receive the punt. Fairbanks called timeout. Boy, would they risk a fake down here? You know,
there would be a heck of a chance.
Whew.
I would doubt that very much.
They snap it through to Hodges. Bridgeport's coming after it. Low kick. And Kesterson will let it bounce again. Oh, he picks it up at the 22. Makes a nice move. He has some room up that sideline, but there isn't much over there.
That was a great move by him, picking it up. It might have rolled another 8 or 10 yards. He got 8 or 10 yards in a return, saved his team about 20 yards.
Couple of unsung heroes in the first half. We have to talk about Mr. Brian Kesterson. And how about Ron Baker? The offensive line gets a game ball for the first half, and those two are unsung. But, of course, Widmore and Boder are just doing it like they've been doing it.
Just a typical Bridgeport football game. Nothing extremely fancy, but very fundamentally sound. They execute very well. Just keep the defense guessing as to who's going to carry the ball.
4:15 to go before the half. Roskovich going to throw again. He has 2 receivers down there. Nick Widmore nearly makes a great catch at the 46. Boy, there's some big-time pressure on Roskovich, but he stood in there, Terry.
He stood in there, got a great pass off. Good coverage that time by David Reinhardt from his inside linebacker position. Just was in front of Nick. But Nick Widmore made almost an outstanding one-handed grab that time.
Nick Widmore hasn't caught many balls this season. How about 1?
I would bet that Roskovich has not dropped back and thrown a straight drop back pass more than about 5 times all year. Usually it's a play action pass that Bridgeport likes to use.
2nd and 10, line of scrimmage, the 34, and they go back to the ground. Widmore chewing on some chunks across the 40. He got about 8, and boy, no surprise there. They incomplete a pass, and they go back to the ground.
Well, it was 2nd and 10, so they got 2 runs to pick up the first down, and they got much more than half of it there on the first one.
It's awful fun to guess the Bridgeport offense because you're going to be right about 98% of the time.
In looking at Bridgeport, preparing for last week's game, we did notice that they predominantly throw on first down. They don't throw often, but when they do, they like to do it on first down, which is what they did in this past series.
3rd and 2. They go to Boder, who rumbles near midfield. You can't bring the big man down. Woo! He just carried Chris Yoder.
He jumped on his back about the 45-yard line, and finally at the 50-yard line, he got help from a couple of teammates and was able to get him to the ground.
And if there was one guy who would be possessed in this game, it's Mr. Boder. One of the nicest kids you'll ever meet, but when he gets out there, boy.
Yes, Chris Yoder was yanking at the ball to try and pull it loose, and Brian Boder said, no way.
He couldn't tell if he had his bicep or the football are about the same distance wide. And they're going to go to the air again. Roskovich
first down
to Ellerick, and it's incomplete. 2 passes, same possession.
And that's 3 already this half. That's the same play that they scored on against Shadyside several weeks ago. I know that Ellerick has excellent speed from that tight end position.
He likes Ellerick. Tall, lanky player, Good speed from the tight end spot. It says he runs like a deer.
And they don't throw to him that often, so it is a surprise to the defense when they do that.
He has 4 catches, 2 touchdowns.
Again, unbelievable percentages for the Bridgeport passing attack.
2nd and 10. Back to Boder. Mr. Gregory, number 73, stands him up. He had a 305-pounder and a 255-pounder colliding at midfield there. And I don't know if the field is off its axis now or not.
And Bridgeport was actually in a passing formation that time. Boder was the only back in the backfield that time, and they tried to quick fullback trap up the middle, but Fairbanks defense was ready for it this time.
Oh, 3rd and 8. Oh, we'll see what Bridgeport does here in a 3rd and long.
I think this is the first 3rd and long Bridgeport has had all night.
Kesterson, bottom of the screen. Widmore has room outside. Can he get to the corner? 1st down and more. Good move to shake a tackler and get down to the 30. Here's your 3rd and 8 play, Coach.
That's it. Just hand it off to Widmore and pick up the 1st down plus an extra 10 yards.
Can you believe there wasn't much containment on that side over there? They were sucked in totally, and Bridgeport did a nice job blocking it.
The defense, Nick Roush had a great angle on him, but Widmer gave him a couple stutter steps that time, used some speed to accelerate, able to turn the corner on him.
Widmore over the 100-yard mark with 113. Boder with 93. This is becoming a laugher in the first half. 2 minutes to go.
Boder has a good shot at going over the 1,000-yard mark himself for this game. I think he only needed about 120 yards, and he may do it before the half's over.
Roskovich to throw again on play action. Kesterson is there. Incomplete.
Very good coverage by the defensive back that time. Number 9, Stoney Gibson, was able to plant and make a good move while the ball was on the air. Right when it hit Kesterson's hand, he hit him, made a good defensive play.
So 9 jars it free from number 9, and if you talk to Kesterson, I bet he said he should have caught that football.
He caught most of them when he got his hands on all season, and you're right, he probably feels like he should have had that one, but the defense made a good play, and the contact is what separated him from the ball.
Kesterson was 7 catches and 5 touchdowns. Pitch to Widmore. Cuts it back up, and he's going into the end zone. Touchdown! Woo! 30 yards, and Bridgeport strikes again.
Both guards that time got out in front of him. Fisher and Muji got out in front of him, made good blocks at the corner. Widmer was able to find a seam and was free stepping into the end zone the last 20 yards.
143 yards for the senior, his 33rd touchdown of the season.
What a
Wow.
tremendous performance here in this half.
And could it only be a one-half night for the senior backfield? Wow. Marco.
The first thing that went wrong for Bridgeport all night.
Yeah. And I think the coaches will take that.
I think so too. It just looked like the kicker slipped there a little bit, didn't get his foot under the ball. I don't think that's a major concern right now.
Bridgeport with a 30 spot in the first half. Wow. It's got our statisticians going crazy here, keeping up with the running. But Bridgeport has thrown about 7 or 8 times so far. And unheard of 3 times on that last drive. What is going on?
I don't know. Maybe they thought their running game wasn't working quite well enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, no.
Or they could be sending some messages to the Crestline people that are in attendance tonight and the Dolan people that are here.
Dolan, Harding, I think, is the other opponent who might be their opponent next week, considering the second half goes as well as the first half did.
Wow. Bridgeport comes out with 30 points. We have 1:51 to go before the half. These are the number 2 and 4 seeds playing, the Dogs being 2 and Fairbanks being 4. And number 1 Crestline and number 3 Dola Hardin Northern are playing also tonight. Wow, Bridgeport looking impressive.
Extremely explosive so far.
The kickoff comes down to McCoy. And he rushes to about the 35-yard line.
He just hasn't had any room all night to see what he could do. I know he's been successful all year. He had to get 1,500 yards, but the Bridgeport defense has just had him bottled up. They haven't had a chance to break him loose yet tonight.
Wow. Bridgeport coaches very concerned coming into tonight's game, thinking, you know, I mean, I'm sure you have to be concerned, but boy, up 30-0, and you have your quarterback on the sideline with a knee and smiles everywhere. There's still another half to play. Fairbanks very capable of coming back, but the way Bridgeport's controlling the line of scrimmage, it'd be very hard. Grant to put it in the air again. Fires complete.
Again,
Not a very big gain from Gibson because he circled back around, but he got 4 or 5 out of that.
A lot of inside pressure by the Bulldog defense. Again, sending 2 linebackers. Got good pressure by the defensive end. Not much time to operate.
And McCoy is blocking for Grant. The pass tipped and nearly picked. Jerry Moore got his hand on it.
He did a nice job from his outside linebacker position. He had the flat covered. The receiver turned inside. He stepped inside, got a hand in the ball, and almost intercepted it.
And I tell you what, Terry, this crowd is starting to fill out here. We got here plenty early, and it wasn't that big, but looking around now, it is filled up here at Newark Whitefield, and a lot of Dog fans. And like we talked to the coaches earlier, if Bel Air wasn't playing on the same night, we might have had an overflowing crowd here because, of course, Bel Air is just down the road from here.
Yes, there was a tremendous crowd at last week's game at Bridgeport. Tremendous community support all year long, and it's a standing room only crowd on this side.
3rd and 7, and they go back to the air. Grant is going to run the football. Baker misses. Moore is blocked, and Bugaj runs him down. And finally, Fairbanks is into Bridgeport territory. Something finally goes right for the Panthers.
That was the longest play from scrimmage, I think, for the Fairbanks Panthers in the half, and the quarterback had to ad-lib to get that.
Just their second first down, Terry.
Nice job, though, by the junior quarterback, keeping his poise, getting some yardage.
And they down the football with a minute to go, and at least Fairbanks got something positive before the end of the half.
They're trying to conserve timeouts, and it's obvious that Fairbanks is not giving up. They still got a lot of fight and determination left, and they're going to make something happen here before the end of the half. They need to have something positive to go in at halftime with.
I don't think Bridgeport would have believed they'd be up 30-0 with a minute to go in the half earlier in the week, but they will take it at halftime. And
no, I'm sure that the coaches did not expect to be quite that successful. I know that they were prepared well and were ready to play well, but being in their first ever playoff game, you can't expect to have this kind of lopsided half.
Delay of game on the Panthers, so they'll be pushed back into their own territory. So they get into Bridgeport territory once, and now they're going back into their own territory.
They lost 5 yards, but they didn't lose any time. And right now, time, I think, is the thing that they need to conserve if they're going to make something happen here in a half.
Boy, would Bridgeport love to get both their backs over 100, and it's almost inevitable that Boder will go over 100. Whitmore already has 143 yards. He gained that much against you all 4 quarters last week.
Fortunately, they did not have that kind of half against us to start with.
Here's
he's
Grant
capable
to
of doing
throw.
that anytime.
Wobbled ball, and it's
Ooh.
incomplete. 4 Bulldogs and 1 Panther, and nobody got it.
Again,
Boy, that ball was hung up there.
A tough pass rush. Grant was not able to go back and set his feet and throw the ball like he'd like to because he just doesn't have the time to do that. And that one was up for grab. That could have been caught by anybody on the field.
And he's lucky he didn't get that one picked off. Under a minute to go now. It's 30-0 Bridgeport. Eye in the backfield now.
Reach into their bag of tricks here and pull out a special play for him for 15 yards.
3rd and 15. Here come the Dogs with the blitz. Downfield it goes. Great adjustment by the receiver, but it's incomplete. Stoney Gibson had to turn all the way around and make a catch, and he almost pulled it off.
That was a well-thrown ball by the quarterback. The receiver did have to make an adjustment, almost made a fantastic catch there. Good coverage, but the ball was thrown right where it had to be thrown for the receiver to have a chance.
And that is a way to attack a blitzing team like Bridgeport. Hit him with the quick one, and maybe they won't blitz so much,
Right.
and they've been trying that, but the corners and safeties have been covering the Fairbanks receivers. So Bridgeport will indeed get the football back. They're coming after it. A one-hopper for Hodges, and he gets it out of there. return ball, and this is not Kesterson. This is McCracken.
Yeah, Mike, in our game plan for last week, we knew that Bridgeport was going to attack. Our philosophy was to hit them with a lot of quick hitters so that it didn't take a lot of time to develop the plays because they put a lot of pressure. They get in the backfield real quickly. So the way to counter that is to run right at them.
Bridgeport has come right at Fairbanks, and whew, they are not finished. 43 seconds, and it would be a big emotional lift if Fairbanks could at least stop Bridgeport on this last possession. Something.
Be curious to see whether Bridgeport's going to go in the attack or just be content to take a 30-0 halftime lead.
What do you mean, throw deep?
Well,
split backs. They like to throw out of the split backs set. And they go to Boder. Spins out of there. Makes another nice move. Look at the big tank rumble. Stiff arm, and he nearly gets out of there. Stoney Gibson got him where you're supposed to get Boder, low, and you see Boder, he loves that stiff arm.
He does, and the tackle was so low that it was underneath his stiff arm. I think he tied his shoes together in order to get him down that time. He can't get any lower than that.
In your game last week, Boder had a nice stiff arm on one of your players. Can't remember who it was.
One of our big players, Jemandari Cochran.
Yes, it was.
The pitcher made it in the paper, and Boder can do that. He got all kind of arm strength. He can push people away.
The clock is winding down to the end of the first half, and Coach Goodrich is out there slapping helmets and behinds. His Bulldog team has played unbelievably well, except for the one missed point after. Bridgeport plays a flawless first half, and they lead 30-0 at the end of one half. Terry, what do you think?
I don't know how a team can play in their first state playoffs and play so well, play so mistake-free. You can tell that they're pumped up, they're well prepared. Coach Goodrich is going to have to take that halftime speech that he had and tear it up and start all over again because I'm sure he didn't have a speech prepared for 30-0.
Brian Widmore, 143, and Brian Boder with 100 yards in the first half alone. 30-0 Bridgeport.
Coverage of the halftime show is brought to you by CA House.
143 to be exact. Brian Boder, 100 yards, and the running game is just there again, and it's been that way all year.
Totally one-sided first half. We'll see if the second half is a little more balanced.
Derek Doty tees it up, and we're underway in the second half. J.R. McCoy at the 19. And he is down to 34-yard line. How pivotal is it for Bridgeport's defense to come out here and stop him first off the bat?
They've already got all the momentum, but I expect them to continue to do exactly the same thing. The defense is not going to change. They're going to continue to blitz, try and shut the offense down completely. I don't look for them to change their philosophy at all.
J.R. McCoy, the 1,000-yard rusher for Fairbanks, was held to -3 on 4 carries. Man in motion is the fullback, and Bridgeport is into the neutral zone.
I don't know if somebody in that offensive line might have flinched or not. We'll have to wait and see. But Ron Baker was across the line of scrimmage. I'm sure that Bridgeport coaches told their kids at halftime that we're going out and play at 0-0. Let's start all over again.
Bridgeport's second penalty of the night for 15 yards. Fairbanks was assessed 3. The big penalty for Bridgeport was the